Then he retired after the '90 season because of health issues. Got healthy. Years, took them to the Super Bowl. Then he coached the Jets for 3 years. Then before the 2000 season, he said, "I'm finished. I'm done. Write it down." But that siren song had to be answered one more time at the age of 62. He told us last night, he said, "I'm back because I love football." And here he is as the coach of the Cowboys, who come off a loss to Atlanta last week. Meanwhile, the Giants won last week. They beat Kurt Warner up. They beat the Rams. They're 1-0, and Philadelphia all of a sudden starts the year 0-2, the team the Giants figured to have to beat. And now the Giants have a chance to go 2-0. But, John, tonight they'll have to do it with 3 rookie offensive linemen and no fullback, and 3 rookie offensive linemen haven't started in a non-strike game in 22 years.
And there's a reason it's been 22 years. I mean, that's something that's really tough. I mean, just starting 1 rookie offensive lineman would make you nervous. 3 of them has to really make you nervous. Now, the dilemma that Jim Fossil has is he knows he has a quarterback in Kerry Collins. He has good wide receivers, good tight end, good running back. But to make those plays happen, you have to get it blocked. That offensive line has to do the job. Now, he's going to help Kerry Collins out. I mean, he'll give him some 3-step drop. He'll give him some play pass. He'll give him some maximum protection. And they also have to be able to run. Every offensive lineman I've ever known loves to run block.
And Tiki Barber had a big week out of the backfield last week. As far as the Cowboys are concerned, it was the biggest story in the offseason. Bill Parcells goes to Dallas. At this point, how do you assess his impact on that franchise?
Well, you know, I think we're going to know in the 2nd and 3rd year, because Bill Parcells comes in and just his appearance, just Bill Parcells there is going to make them better. They hit rock bottom, and he's the guy to bring them back, to make them bounce back. He doesn't have all his guys. He'll get more in the 2nd year, more in the 3rd year, then we'll see.
Mystery keeps unraveling tonight. It's the Cowboys and the Giants as we end week 2 of the NFL season on Monday Night Football. The New York Giants, he's with Lisa Guerrero. Lisa.
Thanks very much, Al. Parcells versus the Giants. Jeremy Shockey versus the media. All kinds of hype leading into this game. But, Jim, the outcome of this game could rest on the shoulders of your 3 rookie linemen. Are you concerned at all about their ability to handle the spotlight tonight?
Well, I don't think so. You know, these guys are smart guys. They came in here and showed me, you know, a confidence in themselves. So they're not nervous, so I'm not nervous for them.
Jeremy Shockey made some derogatory comments about Bill Parcells, amongst others, in the offseason. You sat him down. You had a nice conversation with him about tempering his behavior off the field. But did you talk to him at all about keeping his emotions in check tonight?
Well, I did. I spent some time with him, but he's fine. He's relaxed. I know when Jeremy's getting excited and doesn't feel right. But young man's an outstanding guy, and every coach in America would like to have him on their team. Thanks
very much for your help. Good luck tonight. Jim Fossil looking to improve his record on Monday Night Football. He's 1-6 right now, but his one victory did come at the hands of the Dallas Cowboys, Al.
Remember it well, Lisa. Back in 1999, LT is here. Lawrence Taylor comes out. He'll be on the Giants sideline, though he and Bill Parcells with a big embrace when they saw each other earlier. Brian Mitchell, who came over as a free agent, had been with Philadelphia, here to run back kicks. He's also been playing some offensively and, in fact, scored a touchdown for the Giants last week out of the backfield. And Toby going to kick off. He's also the punter, and here we go at Giants Stadium. At the goal line, this is Brian Mitchell. Up past the 20. And a nice run back to start the game to the 29-yard line. And let's take a look at the Giants starting offense.
Kerry Collins, Penn State.
Tiki Barber, Virginia.
Amani Toomer, Michigan.
Ike Hilliard, Florida.
Jeremy Shockey, University of Miami.
Savchenko, Morgan State.
Jeff Rail, Northwestern.
Rich Seibert, Western Illinois.
Wayne Lucier, University of Colorado.
Dave Deal, University of Illinois.
Chris Bober, Nebraska, Omaha.
And so only Seibert and Bober are veterans. The other 3 are rookies. And they start from the 29-yard line out of the I, and they give the ball to Barber, and he goes nowhere. So a good start for the Cowboy defense. Willie Blade made the tackle.
You know, Vasante Shenko is a fullback. They have 2 tight ends. They start with 2 tight ends. They're going to run to this side. Here's his block. Not much of a lead block, but they didn't get the job done on that left side either. The one thing you can't allow in a running play is a defense to get penetration. The Cowboys defense got penetration on that play and no lead block by the tight end.
And now on 2nd and 12, 3 tight ends in the game. So the Giants begin very conservatively. And there was action up front because Amani Toomer was in motion and started forward. And so Jerry Austin will give us the first call of the night.
Ball start, 81 offense, 5 yards, 2nd down.
Well, those are the things, you know, you can say you can run the ball, you can do all those things to help Kerry Collins, to help a young offensive line, and then you go first down, you don't gain anything, then you have a penalty, and then you end up in these long yardage situations, and this is where the defense can really tee off on a young, inexperienced offensive line.
And now they go from 3 tight ends to spreading it out, and only Collins in the backfield out of the shotgun, taking the play clock all the way down against the 4-man rush. Has to come back this way and finds his man, and that's Tim Carter, their number 3 receiver, the second-year man from Auburn. A 13-yard gain, still shy of the first down by about 4.
And that's a heck of a play by Kerry Collins, because one of the things we talked about is a shotgun and a short, quick 3-step drop. 1, 2, 3, ready to throw. He's looked to the right, looks to the right. There's nothing there, and he's able to come back to the left. Now, you say you shouldn't be able to do that on that short drop, but he was able to do that because of the pass protection or lack of pass rush by the Cowboys.
So Collins' first pass of the night is good for 13. 3rd down and 4 on the game's opening drive from the 35-yard line. Collins, and on a slant, he hits Toomer, who makes the catch and then pays the price with Williams coming in at the end. Mario Edwards was providing the initial coverage on the outside. First down.
Boy, did he throw that one in there. And Amani Toomer, anytime you run a slant, you have to get your shoulder inside. Now watch, he starts here, and right there, you see that move? He faked to the outside, then boom, he goes to the inside, and from that step, he was open. Now watch what Kerry Collins does. He's not going to stand back there a heck of a long time.
So the Giants go from 2nd and 17 to a first down. They have Shanko in the backfield as the fullback, and Collins throwing deep and a little too deep. Amani Toomer was there. Williams with the coverage, and let's take a look at the Dallas starting defense.
Greg Ellis, UNC.
Willie Blade, Mississippi State.
Leroy Glover, San Diego State.
Ebenezer Eckelbein, North Carolina. Al Singleton, Temple.
Dad Wynn, Texas A&M.
Dexter COAKLEY, Appalachian State.
Terrence Newman, Kansas State.
Darren Woodson, Arizona State. Will Williams, Oklahoma. Mario Edwards, Florida State.
Bill Parcells retained Mike Zimmer as his defensive coordinator from Dave Campo's staff. Otherwise, he pretty much cleaned house amongst the assistants. 2nd down and 10. Collins stepping up in the pocket and then hit as he throws, and throws a duck intended for Barber that is incomplete. But wrapping him up was Greg Ellis.
That was one of those coverage sack type of things or coverage hit type of things, because he had time, and then he couldn't find anyone, and you see him step up and look, and then he finally had to dump it off here. You see it's a little play action pass. Now he's okay here, he's okay there, and then right at the end he felt Greg Ellis. Watch Ellis, he's starting out there on Shockey, then he goes outside on the backup tight end. That's a second block he's missed in this drive, by the way, and then he just goes right through him. And Kerry Collins had to hold that one too long.
That was Shanko, the rookie from Oregon State, missing the block. 3rd down and 10, and the play clock has already gone all the way down, and that'll be a penalty. So delay of the game on the Giants.
Offense, 5 yards, and it's still 3rd down.
Back they go to the 42-yard line.
That's when Jim Faso can't complain about an assistant coach, I know, because he's the head coach, and he's also the offensive coordinator, and he's also the play caller.
Which he's been since the 8th game of last season, when Sean Payton had that duty removed. And there is Payton, who is now the quarterback's coach and assistant head coach of the Cowboys. Went there with Parcells, and Fossil continues to call the plays. And why not? He did a great job in the second half of last year. And Collins is under pressure and gets knocked down first by Greg Ellis. So a good series for Greg Ellis. He's the first guy there, and then Eckelbein comes from the other side, and they'll force a punt.
Yeah, it was just a 3-man rush. You know, we talk about rookie offensive linemen. This wasn't a rookie offensive lineman. This is number 67, Chris Bober. He was a center. They moved him to tackle, and you see Greg Ellis just goes right by him.
They picked up Jeff Fiegels, the 16-year veteran, to do the punting in the offseason.
And he's a good one.
And it's Zuriel Smith, a rookie from Hampton University, who fields it at the 15-yard line and brings it back out to the 21. And that's where Quincy Carter and the Cowboys take over with 3 minutes and 24 seconds having elapsed in Parcells' return to the Meadowlands. No score. Times Square, traffic moving. And that's a low ceiling tonight because the Empire State Building is over 1,000 feet, as you know, John, and that's about the ceiling tonight as Quincy Carter takes over and tosses it back to Troy Hambrick, and he gets decked behind the line of scrimmage as we take a look at the Cowboys starting offense.
Quincy Carter, Georgia.
Troy Hambrick, Savannah State.
Richie Anderson, Penn State.
Joey Galloway, The Ohio State University.
Terry Glenn, Ohio State.
Dan Campbell, Texas A&M.
Roselle Adams, Michigan State.
Larry Allen, Centennial High School.
Matt Lair, Virginia Tech.
Andre Gerard, Colorado.
Ryan Young, Kansas State.
Knew he'd get a high school in there. Larry Allen, and he actually went to Sonoma State in Northern California where he played college football. And 2nd and 13, another loss. So it was Barrow on the first play, and this time it's Sean Williams. And let's take a look at that Giant defense.
Michael Strahan, Texas Southern University. Cornelius Griffin, Alabama. Keith Hamilton, University of Pittsburgh. Kenny Holmes, The University of Miami. Brandon Short, Penn State. Mike Barrow, Miami.
Dahani Jones, University of Michigan.
Will Allen, Syracuse.
Sean Williams, UCLA.
Omar Stoudemire, Fresno State.
Will Peterson, Brownsville High School.
Will Peterson gets into the act. He went to Western Illinois. 3rd down and 15 now. Everybody pointing at each other, and it will go against the Cowboys. So a stuttering start.
Start, 76 offense, 5 yards. It's still 3rd down.
2 runs for -5 and a penalty.
Yeah, but that's Flozell Adams, the big left tackle. And, you know, when you go on the road, I know that Bill Parcells is thinking now, you know, this isn't the way you picture things starting. You know, you think you're going to run a couple, get a 1st down, get everyone settled down, and then start taking some attack. Here, they're just going backward.
3rd and 20, they bring Avian Kaysen into the game. He's their 3rd down back, number 23, who had a 63-yard touchdown run against Atlanta last week. And Carter steps up, and his first pass of the game is into the Giants bench. So the Giants start with a brilliant defensive series, 3 and out, and a Cowboy penalty, and in comes the punting group.
Yeah, that's the thing. We were talking to Bill Parcells last night. You know, he was saying, how long is this going to take you to build this team? And he said it all depends on one thing, or one big thing. He said that's Quincy Carter. I said, well, when are you going to have the answer? He said, I don't have it yet, but I'm going to have it in 6 or 7 weeks. And he said, if he's the guy, he said, this program will be shorter time. If he's not the guy, he said, this could be a long time.
His backup is Chad Hutchinson. Carter won the job in camp, and Toby Goen shanks one off the side of his foot, but he gets a lot of distance out of it. And for an ugly punt, that'll look pretty good on the stat sheet. Not terrible, 47 yards. And the Giants take over near midfield. First period, no score. Jim Fossil in his 7th year, and Bill Parcells, who is a Jersey guy, and that shot is taken from the Jersey side of the Hudson River. Bill, in fact, today spent about a half hour, got into a car, and drove around the old neighborhood. From the 41-yard line, the Giants, Collins hands the ball off to Tiki Barber. A hard-earned 5 yards, and we take a look at the Giants' offensive line, and we told you about the 3 rookies, and there they are, Rail, Lucier, and Deal. And as you can see, undrafted, a 7th-round pick and a 5th-round pick. We said at the top, 22 years since 3 rookie offensive linemen, apart from a strike year, started. May, Grimm, and Jacoby are the 3. Look at that. 3 great offensive linemen for Joe Gibbs in '81 and all the Super Bowl rings.
And that was, you know, Joe Gibbs, you know, we talk about young offensive linemen and maximum pass protection. That's what he did.
Well, that young offensive line has just given up another sack, and this is Ebenezer Ekubon. And Seibert is down, and Ekubon is a guy who had only 1 sack all last year.
Yeah, you're just talking about the offensive linemen, the rookie offensive linemen, and here's you're going to see Jeff Rail. He's right here. He's the left tackle. Here's Ebenezer Ekubon, and you're going to see him come right off him. You see just a speed rush. He just grabs his right shoulder, pulls him off, and then he comes from Kerry Collins' backside. Right there, right shoulder, grab, get beyond, and right there.
And it's Seibert who falls on the ball as Collins had it removed. 3rd down and 11. Collins, he's going to swing it out here to Barber. And Barber will not have enough of the first down. And one thing about that offensive line, John, is that you take a look at Ebenezer Ekubon, who has been disappointing because he was drafted very high by the Cowboys. Last year he had 1 sack. Tonight, in the first 8 minutes of the game, he has a sack and a half. He's already eclipsed last year's total.
And I think the defense felt Bill Parcells' wrath last week. And I think generally the defense, specifically the defensive line, that, you know, if you're a defensive lineman, you have to get pressure. You have to get sacks. You can't come up with none.
Jeff Fiegel's punt is fielded at the 5, and that's Zuriel Smith, who pulls off a rookie move and gets away with it because he fielded it at the 5-yard line, and it's Brian Mitchell who knocks him down. So normally the rule of thumb is don't catch it inside the 10, but he gets away with it.
There's another rookie excitement.
Yes, it is. For Parcells, as of course to the great linebacker Carl Banks, Mark Bavaro, Lawrence Taylor, LT, here tonight, and our old partner Frank Gifford. I saw Frank before the game, John. I said, I know why you're here. Amani Toomer is going to break your mark for receiving yards, which Frank has held forever. You want to suit up, don't you?
After Amani Toomer does it, then Frank lets him in there catch a couple more, huh?
Right. He looks in good enough shape to do it, too. From the 24-yard line, Quincy Carter on first down has it intercepted at the 28-yard line by Ralph Brown for the touchdown. Second interception and the first touchdown of his 4-year career.
Well, you're going to see the Cowboys, they go 3 wide receivers, so that's what brings Ralph Brown in. He's the nickel back. He's just reading back there. He's in a zone. He gets a jump on it. I'm sure that Quincy Carter, he comes out of the play pass. He just throws it. Ralph Brown is back there reading it, sees the whole thing, and jumps right in front of Joey Galloway.
Matt Bryant for the point after. So Giants Stadium has erupted as the nickelback takes it in from 29 yards. And with 7:21 remaining in the opening period, Mr. Brown has just scored his first touchdown on Monday Night Football. Unforgettable moment for him, and it's 7-0 Giants. It's the best of the Monday night rivalries. Through the years, so many memorable games. The Raiders and the Broncos next week in Denver on Monday Night Football. Ralph Brown was picked in the 5th round by the Giants in 2000. Picks one off, goes 29 yards, 7-0 New York. And Bryant to kick off. Floats down to the 10-yard line, and Zuriel Smith, the rookie from Hampton University in Virginia, turns it upfield and gets knocked out of bounds at the 50 by the kicker, Bryant. So Dallas with a touchdown against them on the last play, and then it's Smith who gives them a little juice here, running it out to midfield.
Let's watch a touchdown again by Ralph Brown. You see, he's a nickel back. He's playing here, but he's not playing man-to-man. Here's Joey Galloway. As a ball snap, he starts working out here in a zone, and I think that Quincy Carter thinks it's man. And watch Brown as the ball snap, he starts coming out here. He's going to take the underneath away or the slant, and Quincy Carter just throws it right to him.
And now Carter goes back to work at the 47-yard line. His own 47, and his movement up front. And it looked like Larry Allen was the man.
73 offense, 5 yards. It's still first down.
Larry Allen may someday wind up in the Hall of Fame. He's been that good, but isn't it interesting, John, how he became one of Parcells' whipping boys early on?
Well, I think what happened, I think Larry Allen, and you're right, he is going to be in the Hall of Fame. He's one of the best guards I've ever seen, but he got a little carried away with his weightlifting. You know, he was bench pressing 600 pounds, 700 pounds and all that, and then I think his weight got away with him, and then he wasn't in the type of condition he had to be in, and Bill Parcells knew he couldn't play it that way.
Now they give the ball to Richie Anderson, no stranger to this stadium, as he played with the Jets for a number of seasons. And we take a closer look at Quincy Carter. Quincy Carter was actually drafted in the second round by the Chicago Cubs a few years ago. Played 2 seasons of minor league baseball, but he dreamed about not only playing for the Cubs, but as a kid he wanted to be the Dallas Cowboy quarterback, and here he is. And this is the 3rd year in a row he has started on opening day. He started on opening day as a rookie in 2001.
In fact, he was saying in the 5th grade, he wrote that in a paper, like, what you want to be when you grow up? You want to be the center fielder for the Cubs and the quarterback for the Cowboys.
2nd and 14, and that's caught inside the 40-yard line by Terry Glenn. Terry Glenn picked by the Patriots when Parcells was there, and he has been around over to Green Bay, and then Bill brings him down to Dallas, and that's a 20-yard gain.
You know what the Cowboys are doing? They're playing this game with 3 wide receivers. And you see here they have slot. There's Terry Glenn. He's a slot guy. He's going to start up. They clear to the outside, and then he runs what we call a short corner. Starts inside, then he goes to the corner, and Quincy Carter makes a pretty good throw to him.
Glenn shut out last week in the reception department, so that's his first as a Dallas Cowboy. Giants show blitz. Give the ball to Hambrick. And Hambrick, the man who supplants Emmitt Smith in the backfield, takes it to the 25-yard line. Hambrick, who played college football at South Carolina for 3 years and then finished up at Savannah State.
You know, Bill Parcells was saying last night, he said, we're going to do something a little different in this game offensively. And he wouldn't say what it was. He said, you'll see it right off the bat. And what we're seeing right off the bat is he's using 3 wide receivers as his base offense, either to throw the ball or to spread out the defense for the run.
As is the case right here. Back to Hambrick on the ground. He knifes through over the left side and takes it to the 18-yard line off a Dan Campbell block. Campbell, former Giant tight end, who goes to Dallas as a free agent and provides the spark here.
That was a heck of a block by Dan Campbell. You know, sometimes you'll pull your guard, sometimes you'll pull your tackle, and on that time they just bring Dan Campbell, and he's the lead block. See, he starts in the backfield, then he comes right down the line, makes that block right there, and that's the one that freed Hambrick.
Took Brandon Short right out of the play. Got a little bit of rain right now, some showers in the area. 2nd down and 3, and the ball is given to Richie Anderson, and Anderson takes it inside the 10 to the 7-yard line. So the Cowboys showing immediate resiliency. They give up the big play on their first offensive play on the last series and then come right down the field, set up by the Zuriel Smith return.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We always say that it's 3 areas. It's offense, it's defense, and special teams. And sometimes we don't give all the credit the special teams should have, but it was the special teams play, as you say, that got this drive started and maybe started to turn things around for the Cowboys.
Take a look at that. Last year, the Giants were worst in the league in red zone percentage. Dallas was 2nd. And Dallas hardly got in, like 1.5 times per game from the 8-yard line. Hambrick. The interesting note there is if you looked at those numbers on the red zone figures, the Giant percentage was worse, but the Cowboys in Dave Campos last year, they were in 20-some-odd times, which means you're only in the red zone 1.5 times a game.
Yeah, we see Bill Parcells calling that play, and I looked at his play sheet last night, and he showed it to me. And in the red zone, he had reminders. And the reminders were RUN, RUN, RUN. And because you get down in the red zone, and you always think pass. And he just wanted to remind himself when you get down there, run the ball.
And he brings Avian Kaysen into the backfield. 23 is the sole setback here. And Carter looking to throw. Stepping up, mobile, inside the 5, touchdown Dallas. Quincy Carter goes in from 8 yards, so Parcells writes down run, 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 and they wind up running. Not the way he planned it, though.
Well, he ran on first down. He ran a couple times to get down there, and then it's Quincy Carter who runs it in. But the play that he called, you're right, is a pass. And you see Quincy Carter going back here, and this is the thing. When you have speed and you can do this, and if you can't throw, if there's not something open, and you're Quincy Carter, you have to find a gap and take it straight up the field.
2nd rushing touchdown of his career. Billy Cundiff, 2nd-year kicker, and puts that one through the uprights with 3:06 remaining in the opening quarter. So the Cowboys come bouncing back, set up by that Zuriel Smith return to midfield, and then Carter pays it off, 7-7. Eugene to take on the Oregon Ducks Saturday, 3:30 Eastern at noon Pacific time right here on ABC. So the New York Giants giving up the touchdown. STRAHAN ties his shoe on the sideline, and the Giant offense takes over here as Brian Mitchell takes the going kickoff at the goal line and is tackled up at the 20-yard line by James Whalen with 3:01 remaining in the period. Jeremy Shockey made a lot of headlines during the offseason, called Bill Parcells, as you know, a homo in a magazine article. And of course, if you say it to a magazine these days or say it to anybody, it goes everywhere. And then he, in effect, said, no, I was misquoted. But Jeremy has to learn, when you talk to a writer and you don't know him that well, he's really not your friend. I mean, in a way, he's looking for something to sink his teeth in to, and it's not a misquote. He said it. It was reported. And Bill Parcells has tended to poo-poo it as Tiki Barber gets tackled at the line of scrimmage. Bill sloughing it off. As you know, young guys say things that sometimes they wish they hadn't said.
Yeah, and I think Bill Parcells has coached those kind of guys too. And you know, if I had to pick a team and Jeremy Shockey were out there, I would take him. I mean, even though he said this or he said that, or he doesn't talk or he does talk, the way that he plays, I would like to have him on my side.
He's one of the guys you hold the bus for, isn't he?
Yes, that's exactly right. He's a bus holder for her. 2nd and
10. They spread it out of the shotgun. Collins guns it low, incomplete. Coakley put the pressure on. Let's check in with Lisa.
Hey, all you guys were just talking about Jeremy Shockey, and possibly nobody knows him as well as his former teammate Dan Campbell, who of course now plays for the Cowboys. He told me the other day that as soon as he saw Shockey, he knew he would be able to play at a high level in the NFL, but he was worried that he wouldn't emotionally be able to handle the spotlight right here in New York City. Sure enough, that certainly came to pass in the offseason. Now, the best sounding board for Jeremy Shockey is Kerry Collins, who told me yesterday, look, I can only make suggestions to Jeremy Shockey, but nobody can tell that boy what to say.
Kerry's a good guy to go to. I mean, Kerry's been through a ton of stuff on his own. 3rd and 10, and that pass is close to a first down, hauled in by Ike Hilliard at the 32-yard line with 2 minutes to go in the period, and Jerry Austin says first down, New York.
Hey, that was good pass protection, and that was a strike there by Kerry Collins. If you give him time, and we know that Kerry Collins can't run, won't run, but the thing that he can do is he can get back there quickly, he can step up and zip the ball, and that's exactly what he did there.
1st and 10 from the 32-yard line. Hilliard in motion. Stops on a wing, and they give it to Tiki Barber, and he loses the ball. He's a fumbler, and he fumbles right here, and the Cowboys have it at the 35-yard line.
Hey, the Cowboys played run that whole time. Greg Ellis strips him on that play, and they had 8 men up. They brought their strong safety up, so they're playing 8 men in the box, and that's a situation that you usually get out of, and you usually throw the ball. But they come up, and you can see here's Roy Williams there. He's just waiting. Here comes Ellis. He's coming right down the line, and he just strips the ball right out of Tiki Barber's hands. You see, here's your safety up here. 8 guys. They have all the gaps covered, and then when they start to go away from you, you just come right down the line. And as you say, Tiki Barber is a fumbler, so every defensive lineman, every defensive player is always going to go after the ball.
28 fumbles since 2000, by far the most of any non-quarterback in the league over that period. From the 35, now Hambrick to the left side with a little Edwin Moses move. A hurdle job to the 28-yard line, tackled there by Stoutmeyer. And there it is, Barber, 28th, and Ricky Williams, 6 behind. Amon Green among the non-quarterbacks, and Travis Henry. And then Barber had a fumble last week that he got away with because the whistle had blown, and the replay proved conclusively that it should have been a fumble.
And then he probably gets away with more of them because if the Giants win and he has big numbers, you kind of tend to forget those fumbles.
2nd and 3 from the 29-yard line. Carter rolls, throws, caught near side. That's Glenn. And they're going to say Glenn was touched down at the 20-yard line. He was touched down by the defensive back at the 20. No, he just got a hand on him. That's enough. Touchdown.
Isn't Quincy Carter something? And I think this is what Bill Parcells is trying to find out. Is he is he consistent? You know, can he do one thing consistently? Because the minute you see something like this and you say, oh, this guy can't do it. So the minute you say that he can't do it, then you look at something and he makes throws and he makes runs and you say he can do it. So what you have to do is you have to get him when he makes these kinds of plays most of the time.
Parcells saying last night he just has to be consistent from the 20-yard line. Rolling, throwing, and he throws that one away. The coverage was good. Richie Anderson, the nearest Cowboy, with 1 tick remaining in the period.
Bill Parcells didn't look at that play sheet that he had because he's right down there at the red zone now, and he has run, 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 and on first down he goes pass.
And there it is, about 110 calls on that sheet.
That's Dan Campbell here. He's going to do a pretty good job of blocking Michael Strahan. I mean, think of Dan Campbell. You know, he's a tight end. You think of them usually going out for the pass on passing downs. They kept in to help pass protection.
On 2nd down and 10, the pass is high, intended for Anderson, and that's the way the quarter will end. But there's a penalty down at the 14-yard line. A marker clear across on the other side of the field.
Offside, defense number 53, 5 yards, still 2nd down.
And that's Brandon Short. That's the end of the period. 7-7 at the Meadowlands, and Monday Night Football resumes after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Lands, you look across the Hudson to Midtown Manhattan. Al Michaels, John Madden, Lisa Guerrero. We start the 2nd quarter. Game tied, 7-7. Dallas driving. 2nd and 5 at the New York 15-yard line following a Tiki Barber fumble. Time for Carter, and then he overthrows the intended receiver. That's one of the tight ends, Jason Witten.
And I think he had Witten there earlier. That was a bootleg. Witten started off here in the left side, and as he comes across just outside the hash mark, he was wide open, and I think that Quincy Carter held that one just a little too long.
Carter checking out that wristband on 3rd and 5.
There he is. You see the bootleg, and he's coming out there. And I think he could have thrown it just a little before that because Jason Witten had a couple of steps.
Giants rush 4, set up the screen. Kaysen, and what a great open field tackle by Dhani Jones. Kaysen would have had room to roam there, but Jones is able to break up the play and force the field goal attempt.
Didn't you feel like Dhani Jones kind of sneaked up on Kaysen and he didn't know he was there? He was there at the ground, and Kaysen turned and boom, there's Dhani Jones right there. That's one thing that Bill Parcells has brought or added to his offense. He's never been a big screen guy. And he feels the way football is and with speed and the kind of guys that he got that maybe he can run more screens.
Thunder from 37 last week against Atlanta, missed his only opportunity from 33, but this one is just inside the left upright and good to give Dallas the lead. So the Cowboys have come into the Meadowlands, fell behind 7-0. Barber's fumble sets up that field goal, and it's 10-7 with 14-12 remaining in the first half. Update the figures for you. And the Cowboys with 68 total yards, 1 turnover apiece, and of course the turnover by the Cowboys resulted in the Giants touchdown.
Yeah, you see the Giants only have 5 yards rushing there, and as I said, one of the best friends of an offensive lineman is a running game. That's something that, you know, when you come into pro football that you have to adjust. Pass protection becomes so big, but every college lineman can run block. Every high school lineman can run block. So you would think that Jim Fossil, if he were going to help this offensive line out, that maybe he would give him a little more run.
Oh, just flip that graphic. You know who's who.
I think everyone here knows who's who, don't
yes,
they?
Yes, they do.
You know, and you say, what are they going to do with Bill Parcells? Are they going to boo him? Are they going to cheer him? And, you know, he's with the hated Cowboys now, but you can't change history. I mean, the New York Giants won 2 Super Bowls, and Bill Parcells was the head coach of those 2 teams. And that doesn't go away. That doesn't change.
Never. Never. Bill looked like he was coughing a little bit. He had a little cold last night when we met with him. You saw Carl Banks there, and the kickoff by Goen is taken by Brian Mitchell at the goal line. And one of the great greatest run-back men in history, a guy who could wind up in the Hall of Fame as a run-back specialist. Mitchell takes it out to the 24-yard line.
Yeah, I think this offensive line is doing a pretty good job. I mean, you're coming in, how's the offensive line going to do? And they had a little trouble right there. You'll see the sack there. And then another time they get, pressure from the backside. But I think overall, with 3 rookie starters, with a guy who's been playing center, starting at right tackle, I think they're doing okay.
The big man, Luke Pettigrew, the left tackle, is out with back spasm. Should be back next week when the Giants go to Washington. Short drop, Collins throws. It's deflected and incomplete. A lot of motion and movement up front, all legal. Toomer, the intended receiver, covered by Edwards.
Yeah, you talk about putting the mustard on the ball. You can tell he had mustard on that one, because when he hits a guy and the ball bounces up like that, there's mustard flying off it.
Yeah. It's a Brett Favre kind of throw.
He's thrown a couple tonight like Brett Favre. I think Collins is as thin as I've ever seen him, and I think he's moving a lot better.
Second down and 10. Back to the ground to Barber, and Barber is able to skitter free and gets it up to the 28-yard line. Tackled there by Dexter COAKLEY.
And you think, as I was just saying about offensive linemen and how they love to run block, I think you have to give them a little more of that. I mean, you come back with the second down run now they're going to play against nickel, and they're going to have to pass. I mean, this is a passing situation here, but I think you would like to get them a run. There's Jim McNally, the offensive line coach, one of the best in all of pro football, one of the best that ever coached in all of pro football. And when he was with the Cincinnati Bengals and Anthony Munoz and those guys, hey, if there's anyone that can coach a group of 3 rookies in one line, Jim McNally's that guy.
Like the East Coast version of the late Bob McKittrick of the 49ers. And Collins under pressure and then guns it, and it might be a first down. We'll see where they spotted Ike Hilliard. You saw the yellow line. If they give him forward progress, he's close. Pete Hunter makes the tackle, and let's see where they put the ball down. And it will be, according to Austin, a first down. And that looks very generous.
Yep. You can see him here. He just runs out. He just steps outside the yellow line. You wonder, if you're a Dallas Cowboy fan, know what kind of spot this is. Here we can see the yellow line in it. Does he get over? It looks like he was stopped before he got to that line.
Not even close, because it's where the ball is when your second foot comes down. Not even close.
So the Giants got a great spot.
Here's Tiki Barber. And he brings it up to the 37-yard line. Tackled there by Dat Wynn.
Yeah, this Dallas defense is not a big defense. Their defensive line isn't big. They have very small linebackers. But the one thing that they can do is they can pursue and gang tackle. So if you're going to run on them, I always thought the best way to run is run straight at them. When you start going right and left, they're going to get a whole bunch of white jerseys on you.
Second down and 8 from the 37. By the way, that spot, that was a reviewable play, but the game is moving along quickly as Barber moves to the outside and will not be able to turn the corner. He's run out by Pete Hunter. But had Parcells chosen to challenge, he probably would have won the challenge. But that's one of those plays, it's so hard for the coach to tell. And by the time the assistants say we should challenge it, Collins gets the snap off and forget about it.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly right. And then it looks like they don't have it, then they have it. The thing is, watch this Cowboy defense. They're getting, not only do they have those fast linebackers and defensive backs in pursuit, but they're also getting penetration with their defensive line.
Third down and 8 now. 6 defensive backs in for the Cowboys. And Collins throws for Shockey, and he makes the catch or not. No, they're going to rule incomplete. Never had possession. Incomplete. Tony Dixon and Darren Woodson with the coverage.
Yeah, someone's going to say, was that hit for Bill Parcells? Are they going to get him because of what he said about Bill Parcells? There's no way. That hit is an instinct. That hit is a reaction. Shockey has the ball. He's just bringing it down, and he really gets swallowed.
And he could feel Tony Dixon coming into the picture. Fourth down now, and Jeff Fiegels to punt. End over end line drive, returnable 24-yard line by Zuriel Smith. who spins to the outside, comes up past the 30, and gets run out of bounds into the Cowboy bench at the 39. So another good run back by Smith, who helps set up the touchdown drive. Brian Mitchell makes the tackle there. 4 minutes into the second quarter. 3-point Dallas lead. Dallas on top 10-7, and the Dallas Cowboys have the ball at their own 39-yard line. So much made of the tuna. It's, been, I guess, through the years, a lot of lore and myth have developed. But when he was an assistant coach at New England in '80, he told a linebacker one day who was trying to pull something off on Billy, he said, "What do you think I am, Charlie the Tuna?" And that has stuck around for 23 years. Brought out in the flat by Anderson. Nice move there to pick up some extra yardage. And let's check in with Lisa.
Hey, Al, I'm with NFL Hall of Famer Lawrence Taylor. LT, what went through your mind when you found out that Coach Parcells was not just coming back to coach, but coming back to coach the Cowboys?
Well, it's a little bit different, but it could have been worse. He could have been coaching the Eagles, but I can live with that. Bill is a great coach, and I'm quite sure the fans around here appreciate everything he's done for the New York Giants.
Now, you're wearing your Giants rain gear, but is there any part of you that's kind of rooting for your former coach to beat your former team?
Well, I like Bill as a coach. I like Bill as a person, but I'm still Giant Blue all the way. Giants my team.
Now, you know all about having to deal with the media spotlight here in New York City. If you were to give any bit of advice to Jeremy Shockey, what would it be?
Well, Jeremy is one of those guys, is a great talent, and just like myself, sometimes we feel that we can say anything and get away with it, but we'll learn. He'll learn as he gets older that sometimes the smart thing is just to stay quiet.
Very good advice. Thanks very much, LT. Back up to you, Al.
All right, thank you, Lisa. 132.5 sacks, and John, you think that only an offensive player can be a magnetic presence and draw the attention of the fans, but not when he wore number 56.
And you also think that only an offensive player can dominate a game, and Lawrence Taylor was the only defensive player that I've ever seen that could dominate a game. I mean, Lawrence Taylor could come in and take over a game by himself and win the game, and I saw him do it. I mean, in all the years I've been doing this, Lawrence Taylor is the best defensive player that I've ever seen.
Everybody on offense always knew where he was. 2nd down and 4 after the Dallas timeout at the 45-yard line. Carter gets great protection that time and then throws, and it is Joey Galloway making the catch. So Joey Galloway, so many good years at Seattle, then was traded to Dallas, got hurt after he became a Cowboy, now appears to be 1,000% healthy, and what a force he can be.
Hey, we were talking last night to Quincy Carter about Joey Galloway. He said, oh yeah, he said he's great. He said he's the best receiver we have, and when he goes back, that's a guy that I'm going to look for every time. He makes that catch, has both feet in.
21-yard pickup, led the team last year in receptions. Now they keep it on the ground, and this is Richie Anderson. I look at Richie Anderson. That is a Bill Parcells kind of player. A guy sort of in the shadows a little bit, but he spots him and uses him very effectively.
Yeah, couldn't do everything because most fullbacks today can't run anymore. Usually the fullback is just a slug. He's just a blocker, maybe a pass catcher. But Richie Anderson is a fullback. Mike Allstott is a fullback also that can run with the ball, and then he can catch it. He's not a great blocker, but he is a good receiver and a good runner.
2nd down and 6 at the 30-yard line. 9.5 to go in the half. And they go back to Hambrick, and Hambrick bangs his way close to a first down. Flag is down back at the 32-yard line, just about the line of scrimmage.
That was a heck of a collision between Hambrick and Sean Williams. That's the thing. Those guys are always going to look each other up.
76 offense, 10 yards, repeat 2nd down.
Flozell Adams.
The Cowboys are just getting something going, and then, in fact, that's one of the things Parcells was talking about last night. We get something going, and we just can't be consistent. You see right there what Flozell Adams does. I mean, that's just a stupid penalty. I mean, that's just when you don't get your feet in the right position, then you do stupid things with your hands and arms. I mean, there's no reason that you have to do that. And then, you talk about concentration. You have to concentrate. You have to do that. When you do something like Flozell Adams just did, you lost your concentration.
Especially not your 6th year in the league. 2nd down and 16. Fake screen under pressure. And then he gets off the screen, and Anderson breaks the tackle. And turns nothing into a little something as he takes the ball to the 34-yard line. Pressure put on that time by Michael Strahan.
Yeah, and he was on a stunt. You're going to see Michael Strahan comes inside on that. Cornelius Griffin goes to the outside. But Strahan starts in. Cornelius Griffin comes out here, and that's where the ball is going to be thrown. Griffin is right there. In fact, he darn near caught that thing. The ball is thrown, and then he misses. I mean, a couple missed tackles there, and they get a play.
3rd and 10. Cowboys up by 3. 8.5 to go in the half. Looking for 10 to pick up the first down. Carter's going to take off, and Carter's going to slide to a halt at the 30-yard line, setting up a 47 or 48-yard field goal attempt or a punt.
You know why Cornelius Griffin made that tackle and why he was in on the screen to play before? Because he's the spy. Anytime they get to a 3rd down, he's the guy that is going to spy Quincy Carter. And Cornelius Griffin, you know, I mean, different things, different tackles do, but Griffin is one of the best spy tackles in all of football.
49-yard attempt, which would be a career high, and if he misses, the Giants would get the ball at their own 39. Toby Goen puts it down, and Cundiff bangs it through. Carter says, you bet. 7:41 to go in the half, and the Cowboys with 13 unanswered points, up by 6. So the Dallas Cowboys on top by 6 with 7:41 to go in the first half. Light rain. It's been off and on this weekend in New York. Toby Goen kicks off 5-yard line. Brian Mitchell up past the 20, up past the 30. Nice run back to the 31-yard line for a man who still thinks he's alive and wasn't touched down. And he's also made 3 special teams tackles tonight, so still going strong well into his career.
Brian Mitchell is one of those guys that are full of energy. You always have to watch him during the play and for about 10 seconds after every play, because he still plays.
Quarterback in college, 14th year out of Southwestern Louisiana. So the Giants will take over when we come back at their own 31. Coach, and on the right, Sean Payton, now with Dallas, was the Giants offensive coordinator and a hot young assistant coach, especially after the Super Bowl year of 2000. But then Jim had to take over the play calling after the Monday night game in Philadelphia, and the Giants were significantly better with Fossil calling the plays for the balance of the season. Now the Giants begin this drive at their own 31-yard line, and Collins swings it to the outside to Mitchell, so they've got Brian coming out of the backfield now, and he's close to a first down up at the 42-yard line. The proof is in the graphic here. Look at the bottom line. They averaged a little under 13 points a game in the first 7 games through the Philly game on that Monday night, and then almost 26 points a game. They double the output with Fossil.
Right, and Jim Fossil was talking about it yesterday, and he said all he did was kind of simplify things and take the things that Kerry Collins did best, that Tiki Barber did best, that Amani Tuber did best, and put those in the game plans and not just have a big old list of plays.
Now tonight the Giants have scored, but it was the defense. It was Brown's interception return as Barber picks up 3 up to the 45 here.
You know, and I think that's a result of this offensive line. This is what you're going to see. I mean, you know, you have 3 rookies in there. You have a center playing tackle, and you're not just going to see the defense come in there and run in there and jump on them every down. But the problem you're going to have is staying consistent, and staying consistent is being able to get first downs and move the ball down the field. And that's what the Giants look like in this first half, that they make some plays. I mean, they make some passes, they make some runs, but they just can't keep it and knit it together.
Split Shockey to the right, send Hilliard in motion to the Giants. And then the pass is incomplete, and the coverage is perfect as Mario Edwards was there in the secondary.
You know, Lawrence Taylor was talking about Shockey and the things that he has to do and be quiet and all that stuff, and it's getting tougher and tougher just watching him. Jeremy Shockey, he hasn't caught a pass yet, and I know what happens to these young guys when they don't. Then they start getting frustrated, and then they start to press, and then they start to complain to their quarterback, and that's the thing that you have to fight through as a young player, that you're not going to get them all the time. When you don't, you have to keep working.
Giants staggering offensively to this point, averaging only 3 yards per play and 1.8 on the ground, and that is is caught up at the 49-yard line by Tim Carter, his second grab of the night, and Terrence Newman, the #1 draft choice of the Cowboys, the rookie from Kansas State, with the coverage, and it begins to rain as hard as it has during the course of the game.
It's raining something other than water, too.
Yes.
It's raining booze here, I think, on that offense. Because these people have to get a little frustrated, too. You know, these Giant fans, I mean, they start off, they win the first game. They know they're a better team than the Cowboys. They think they're going to bring them in here and, and blow them out, but it's not going that way.
That last pass ruled incomplete, so Carter did not get what would have been a small gain. They would have had a punt anyway, 4th down. And Jeff Fiegels sends an end-over-end kick to the 11-yard line, and the rookie Zoriel Smith brings it back up to the 17, where David Tyree makes the tackle. 6:03 remaining in the half. In the rain in New York now, with the Statue of Liberty right there. 13-7 Dallas. Showers were in the forecast, and there is one of your intermittent showers. In fact, the hardest it's rained tonight. Television always exacerbates. I mean, it's raining. It's not pouring, but it's something that it'll affect the crowd a little bit more than the players right now.
Who's exacerbating? The crowd or the players?
That's right. Gain of 1 for Troy Hambrick, flagged down up at the 17-yard line. With the lights and everything on television, you can always make it look like it's a monsoon.
Tripping, number 70 of the defense, 10 yards, first down.
Lance Legree.
That's one of the things the Giants are trying to do with their defense is roll in those defensive linemen. So now you see Lance Legree, he's number 70. William Joseph is also in there, number 94. And you see they're the two guys. Here's Legree right here. He's the guy that they call the tripping penalty on. See, he makes a pretty good move there. Then he over pursues. Then when you over pursue, you do what you call a kickback. And then when you kick back and they see it, then they call that tripping.
1st and 10. They have Gennaro DiNapoli in its center right now. Matt Lair started the game for the Cowboys. Hambrick turns back the other way, and it's finally Sean Williams who knocks him down. Broke out of a Dhani Jones tackle and won by Michael Strahan. Well, we see Hambrick, and that, of course, makes us think of Emmitt Smith, now at Arizona, and the leading rusher of nights he had against the Giants, including several on Monday night. There are his numbers for this season out in Arizona. The Cardinals blasted by Seattle yesterday and start the year 0-2. 2nd down and 13 up at the 23-yard line. Hambrick swings it to the outside, puts his shoulder into Peterson, who makes the tackle up at the 26. So Emmitt Smith, phenomenal numbers, obviously, and there it was on the left-hand side. 280, an NFL record. And on the right-hand side, by far the most rushing yardage in the history of Monday Night Football. He gained over 2,400 yards on Monday Night Football.
You know, he played a game in here that was the most courageous game I think I've ever seen by a running back. He had a shoulder, and then he just kept running. And there was only one time that I've ever gone in a locker room to talk about a player, to a player after a game. That was here to Emmitt Smith.
And that was such a huge game at the end of the year as the screen pass for Kaysen is incomplete. So the Giant defense rises up, and they'll get the ball in what should be good field position. And I recall, and that was, I think, the last game of the season for the Cowboys. They had to win it.
And they had to win that, and they had to have Emmitt Smith in there. And I went in the locker room, and he was laying out on the table, and he had ice bags all over his body. And I just said, I just want to shake your hand. And they let me in, and I just shook his hand and walked out. But it's the only time I've ever done that.
Toby going to punt. Floating short kick. Giants let it bounce, and Goen gets another big roll. So that goes 15 yards on the ground alone, 29 in the air, 44-yard kick. You know, John, I was thinking about the fact that Jerry Jones was able to get Bill Parcells to coach his team. He met him in Jerry's jet at Teterboro Airport, which is just up the road here. Just the two. I think if some owner tried to get you to come back to coach, I don't think he'd meet you in a jet. Do you?
As long as it doesn't leave the ground. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, he came out here and Jerry Jones stayed on the ground and talked to Bill Parcells. And it was interesting. Talking to Bill Parcells last night, he said that Jerry Jones just talked to him, didn't offer him the job. I said, but at that time, did you know you would take the job if he did? He said, yeah, I knew if he offered me the job, I was going to take it after that meeting.
And that pass is knocked down by Terrence Newman. Isn't it interesting, too, you know, when you think about it, John, that, you know, Bill said after the '99 season, write it down on your chalkboard, I won't come back. And then, of course, he changes his mind. He almost changed his mind at Tampa Bay. And I mean, he could have coached the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and might have taken them to the Super Bowl last season.
Yeah, and as you said earlier, you know, that he just loves football. And I think he's one of those guys that when he's in it, he has so much stress he can't live with it. And when he's outside, he can't live without it.
2nd and 10. I think that's well put. Tiki Barber to the 31. Yeah, you go through periods, and he had the health issue with his heart, and that's why he left the Giants after the '90 season, 4 years in New England. And the facial expressions have been the same through the years.
Yeah, but he likes this when he has Greg Ellis making another play like this in his run, coming down there against Bobert, taking him on, holding that hole, and then just waiting for the ball to come to you. That's the way you play run when they're running at you.
3rd and 9 from the 31-yard line. Collins under pressure and has it intercepted at the 40-yard line by Al Singleton. And the former Tampa Bay Buccaneer takes it into the end zone. Alshimon Singleton, who has a Super Bowl ring with last year's Bucs, runs it back 41 yards for a touchdown.
And Kerry Collins threw that one right into coverage. That was a 3-man rush, 8 men in coverage. And of course, anytime you get 8 men, you're going to have a whole bunch of doubles, and you're going to have a whole bunch of free guys. On that play, it was Al Singleton.
As a rookie in '97 with the Bucs, he scored a touchdown, and that's his first since then. So we've had 2 runbacks for touchdowns tonight, one for each side. It was 7-0 Giants early, and now with Cundiff's extra point, it's 20-7. And the Dallas Cowboys have come in and stunned this Meadowlands crowd.
This is a 3-man line, and we're going to see Al Singleton. We got the 2 linebackers right here, a 3-man line, just a 3-man rush. In fact, they get pretty good pressure on Kerry Collins. But you see, he's throwing into 8. Al Singleton is just backing up. He's just playing zone. He's just free right there, and Kerry Collins throws it right to him. But that is tough, you know, especially when you get that kind of pressure with just a 3-man rush. You see, he holds, he waits, and right now he has to throw the ball. Or throws it to the wrong guy.
Greg Ellis was the guy who came in, number 98, who said a big first half, who helped force the issue.
You're right. He's had a big first half, and not only on the pressure, the pass rushing, but he's also had on the running game.
That's some shot, isn't it?
He's saying it wasn't supposed to happen like this. I think LT looks like he's in shock. The Giants sideline looks like they're in shock, and the fans look like they're in shock. Kerry Collins saying to himself, I got to do better.
Jim Fossil can't afford to be in shock. Barber fumbled earlier. That helped set up a field goal. 20 unanswered points for the Dallas Cowboys.
But Jim Fossil has a tough job because, again, you know, we keep going back to those 3 rookie offensive linemen, Barber moving the tackle, and you always have to be concerned. Anytime you call a play, you have to be concerned with pass protection.
2-yard line, Brian Mitchell. Up to the 28-yard line. Well, Darren Woodson has been around for a dozen years, owns 3 Super Bowl rings. So who better to talk about the effect of Bill Parcells on the Dallas Cowboys?
When he came in, everything changed. You know, guys came in, we understood it wasn't just, you know, we weren't just going to have fun in the off-season. You know, the off-season program started on time. He was in the weight room all the time. He helped us watch film and show guys, you know, and taught guys how to watch film and understand what to look for. So everything changed. And, you know, I think that's going to breed a winner sooner or later. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I know he'll breed a winner here.
From the 28-yard line after the Woodson remarks, Collins throws, and that's knocked down at the line of scrimmage. Low throw. Willie Blade is there. And, you know, John, we talked to Woodson last night. I was asking him about, you know, how Bill comes in and he gets on Larry Allen's case. And Woodson said, no one's off limits. That's what he was telling us.
And I think that's why Bill Parcells did that. I mean, you go and you go after the star players, and then all the other guys look and they say, if he goes after Larry Allen, he's going to go after any and all of us. Of course, Darren Woodson, he said he's on him all the time, too. But there's not a guy that's, you know, works a heck of a lot harder than Darren Woodson, who's more dedicated to this game. He would never be a problem guy for you.
They spread it out on 2nd and 10. Collins 0 for his last 5 and make it a half dozen now, including a pick. And Ike Hilliard was the intended receiver. More Darren Woodson coming your way right here.
He told me in front of the entire team the first day is, you know, he said, Woodson, you're going to prove yourself. You get to prove every down that you can still play this game. And, you know, he basically challenged me in front of the team. And I understood where he was coming from. I knew that, you know, when him coming in, he didn't know who I was. He, you know, he'd heard of me, but he never saw me play, never knew what kind of person I was. So going out to camp and going out to practice, I had to prove myself and prove to him that I could still play.
He also said, he said, it's work now. Parcells gets everything out of you every day.
I don't think that would take Darren Woodson very long to prove himself.
3rd down and 10, and getting wide open is Amani Toomer, who had to turn around to make the catch. He was looking inside. The pass went outside. Great adjustment by Toomer, and the Giants are back in business inside the 35-yard line.
And it was a heck of a lousy adjustment by Roy Williams. The ball's in the air, and you have to locate it. Now watch, this is a cover 2. The corner's going to bump. He's going to let him go. Roy Williams, 31. You see what happened to him? He got a move on him. He got the step. He's a guy. He has to get over. He has to get over there. He gets held right there thinking it's a slant. Amani Toomer gets behind him. Then he can make those kind of adjustments.
And a milestone catch there for Toomer in Giant annals as Collins goes back to throw, and it's dropped out in the flat by Shanko. Frank Gifford, all of these years, has held the record for receiving yards by a Giant, which is pretty amazing since Frank was a defensive back and a running back for a lot of years. And there it is. Amani Toomer has just broken Frank's mark for receiving yards in a career.
And then he has his eye on receptions, too, doesn't he?
He does. That's next. And then combined yardage, and a lot of Frank's marks will go down. But, boy, you know, when you think of Frank and when he played, and for those marks to have withstood the test of time for so long, that's amazing.
And then you go back. I mean, Frank was one of those guys that could do everything.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, he could throw it, he could catch it, he could run it.
2nd and 10. Collins throws, and that's behind Tiki Barber. 3rd down.
You know, not to make excuse for Kerry Collins or anyone, but I wonder with this rain if those balls are a little wet. I mean, you know, quarterbacks have trouble with that because the brand new balls that they use are a little slick anyway, and then you add a little moisture to them, and sometimes as you let it go, they do some split finger stuff. You love in baseball, but you don't want out here.
3rd down, 3rd and 10, trying to keep the balls as dry as they can. Out of the gun, flanked by 2 backs. Set up the screen, flag thrown by the umpire. You know what that means. Roy Williams tackles Tiki Barber. Next thing you'll see will be a holding call. Aloha.
You know, there's certain times, you have to hold to protect your quarterback, but there's other times that you never want, and that's on a screen pass because what you're trying to do is you're trying to invite the rush anyway.
Offense, 10 yards, repeat 3rd down.
One of the rookies, David Deal. 5th round pick out of Illinois.
And David Deal is the right guard, and again, you can let the guy, I mean, you can give him a bump. Then if he starts to beat you because it's a screen pass, you're inviting a rush anyway, you can let him go.
23rd birthday for Deal as we come to the 2-minute warning. 3rd and long for the Giants when we come back. 27 Dallas. Been checked tonight. We rarely called his name. He's been not much of a factor.
I would want to explain that, though, Al. You get a broken toe and they stick a needle in your hand and your toe gets better.
I don't know.
Makes sense to some.
3rd down and 20. Collins floats one, and it's picked off by Newman, their #1 draft choice, and he's down. He gets up, and they're going to whistle him dead at the 20-yard line, and it's Dale Roy Stewart who came in and put the pressure on Kerry Collins that time.
And he was hit just as he threw it. He was trying to get it to Jeremy Shockey. As we said, Shockey hasn't caught a pass yet, and somebody, he'll get a little frustrated, but you don't want to force the ball to him. You see Shockey out here, he's working, then he comes up, then he's going to the outside to the corner, and he just falls down just before the ball gets here. Newman was just playing zone defense. See, he's just sitting there waiting, playing that outside zone, and Collins throws it right to him. But this is why. I mean, he has to throw it right now. He has to get rid of the ball. Shockey falls down. He was probably trying to throw it, or should have been trying to throw it out of bounds.
Newman was the 5th overall pick in the draft. Very rare for a defensive back to be picked that high. They loved him out of Kansas State. 1st and 10 at the 20-yard line. And here's Hambrick, taken down after a gain of 1. Barrow and Jones are there. And right now the Giants will take a timeout to try to pin him and force a punt. Let's take a look at the game recap here. Early on, Carter threw one out into the flat, and it was picked off by Ralph Brown for his first career touchdown. But back they came, set up by a very good run back by Zuriel Smith, and it was paid off on that run by Carter. And then the pick right there by Singleton takes it in for a touchdown, and it is 20-7. 2 Cunda field goals along the way, and the Cowboys on top by 13.
We were talking to Bill Parcells last night about the development of the Cowboys and where he thought they were, and he said, I'm not sure exactly, you know how he talks, I'm not sure exactly where we are, but I'll tell you one thing, a win tonight would cure a lot of ills.
It would, and they have an off week, and then they come right back here to meet the Jets in 2 weeks. So think about this. In the month of September, Bill Parcells, the coach of the Dallas Cowboys, will coach 1 game at Texas Stadium and 2 games at Giant Stadium.
And he knows his way around Giant Stadium a heck of a lot more than Texas Stadium.
2nd and 9. And this is Hambrick, and Hambrick picks up the first down before he moves out of bounds. So the Giants had taken that time out, and now all of a sudden the Cowboys start to mount a drive. Monday Night Football is being brought to you by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of Super Bowl 38. Snickers, home of the weekly Hungriest Player Award. HP Technology, services and people help make more things more possible. And Bud Light, for the great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down, make it a Bud Light. Speaking of Bud, Budweiser providing tonight's aerial coverage at the Meadowlands. 1st and 10 now from the 30-yard line. They give it to Hambrick. He gets taken down at the 31-yard line. Sean Williams makes the tackle.
You know, speaking of Bud, I want to show you a guy that really blocks that. Larry Allen. I mean, they can say that, you know, he's kind of worn down. Yeah, but just watch him. Whenever he gets on you, you are going to go this way. I mean, he is so big and so strong and so powerful. Watch, he gets his hands, and then he just starts running. And you look, I mean, you don't take a defensive lineman and knock him 8 yards deep unless you're Larry Allen.
Kenny Holmes 8 yards deep and about 20 yards wide.
And he's saying that guy doesn't have to tell me that he can bench press 700 pounds. I know that he can do it. It's like, you know, how many guys do you think are in football right now that are active that are the best at their position that ever played? I think there's 2 in my mind.
Larry
Allen, I think, and the other one's Jerry Rice. I think that are playing right now that are active.
Sure.
I think could be the best players that ever played their position.
2nd down and 9 from the 31-yard line. And that's caught by Richie Anderson. And Anderson actually does the Giants a little bit of a favor here by going out of bounds, because the Giants had just taken a timeout as they try to get the ball back. The Cowboys, the last 2 times they led the Giants by 13 or more points at the half. The Giants came back to win each game in 2000. And then the following year as well, the Cowboys led at the half 24-7. Giants win the game. So the Giants have been here before.
And I think they're, you know, again, going back to that offensive line with Tiki Barber not being able to run. I think they're having a tough time having any offensive consistency. And if there's anything that they can do at halftime, any adjustments, anything Jim Fossil can come up with, you know, he's going to have to do that to get some consistency in this offense.
Well, Barber has carried 9 times for 15 yards tonight. Last week he had more than 140. He's also caught only 1 ball for 6 yards. The big play for the Giants was the Toomer catch.
Right, and the thing that kills them is they don't have any points. They have 3 turnovers.
3 turnovers. They're down to 1 timeout. The Cowboys just took this timeout. The clock was stopped anyway.
They only have 5 first downs in the first half, and they're averaging 3.3 yards per play. So, you know, they're not able to run it. So that puts a little more pressure on the offense and the play calling and the offensive line. And then when they do pass it, then the Cowboys are just teeing off with a 3-man line and covering with 8.
3rd down and 7. Galloway is the motion man. Carter steps up, throws, have the first down, and Terry Glenn steps out of bounds up at the 47, and now the Cowboys can begin to think about moving downfield into field goal position, and they have 1 timeout remaining.
And that's what I think. I mean, earlier the Giants wanted to take timeout to see if they could get the ball back. And then Dallas gets a couple of first downs, and now it's Dallas that's trying to slow it down to get in position to kick a field goal. And this is a thing that Quincy Carter can do. I mean, he can move in the pocket and throw the ball from bootleg, from play action, or just stepping up and finding lanes.
1st and 10. The Cowboys now go from running out the clock to trying to score, and it's caught over the middle by Glenn. And Glenn is inside the 30-yard line. He's taken down at about the 25 with 1 minute and ticking remaining.
Yeah, you would think in this situation that play action shouldn't work, but it does work. He starts off here with a play action pass. You see the fake? That holds the line a little, holds the linebackers a little, and he throws a strike in there to Terry Glenn. It's funny that the Giants defense was playing run. I mean, in this situation, I would think that, you know, I would be rushing the passer, but they had 8 men in the box. I mean, they had 8 men up there, and they gave him a play fake, and Terry Glenn's wide open.
It took the Cowboys a long time to get to the line here at the 26-yard line, and that is Richie Anderson. And with running that play, they'll be content to settle for 3. They take a timeout, which is their final. Maybe they'll take 1 shot at the end zone or a couple of shots at the end zone here and then settle for a Cundiff field goal at worst.
I've always felt that that's what you do in this situation. I know it'll be interesting to see what Bill Parcells feels. You'd like to have a timeout, but if you don't, I think if you take a shot, you should take it in the end zone. And then the guy's either open or you throw it away. And then if you have to, then you try your field goal. Because if you don't take the shot in the end zone, then it's a one-way go. By taking a shot in the end zone, and then you have that shot plus a field goal, you kind of have a 2-way go.
Parcells looked exorcised. I don't know whether he was upset because it took so long to run the play or whether Carter ran the wrong or whatever. But Bill was, as always, lets his feelings be known.
Well, yeah, see, there's Sean Payton now talking to Quincy Carter. Bill Parcells is talking. They all have the play sheet, and then Quincy Carter has the plays on a wristband, so they can just give him like a number, like run number 7, and then, he didn't get the play out in time on that last one.
You need Ted Williams' eyesight to read that wristband. 2nd down and 9 at the 26-yard line. Giants show blitz. Here they come. Pressure on Carter. He just dumps it off. And Anderson was in the neighborhood, so there'll be no flag. Keith Hamilton applied the most pressure.
Yeah, and that's what you do when you get this situation. Now you know it's a pass, so you want to blitz him and see if you can get him and then knock him out of field goal range, because the Cowboys are in field goal range now. You see that they were going to go for it, so you want to come with the big pass rush.
If they gain nary a yard here, it would be a 43 to 44-yard field goal attempt.
And the Giants are going to smother him. They're not going to let him stand back there and take a shot in the end zone.
Worst thing would be to complete a pass over the middle and not get a first down. You wouldn't have time on 4th down to spike it. Carter stepping up, and that's caught out here by Glenn, and he stays in bounds, and there's a flag down. There's a flag down. Otherwise, exactly what I had just said would have happened. He would have been in bounds. It would have been 4th down, and with 9 seconds left, good luck getting the field goal team out there and ready to kick. And so,
number 73 of the offense, 10 yards. Repeat, third down.
In a way, in a strange way, that actually helps them, because I don't think they could have gotten everybody onto the field and kicked a field goal there.
No, they couldn't have, and it does help them. I mean, but it puts the ball 10 yards back. And kind of how about the 49er game yesterday?
Yep.
I mean, they catch a pass, but they had a timeout left. They didn't get the timeout call.
Right. Running in the middle of the field.
You can't throw the ball in the middle of the field when you have no timeouts left.
53-yard field goal attempt, especially if you can't get out of bounds, because that was the only way they were going to have enough time left on the clock.
They don't have a ball in there. There, they finally got a ball. That's tough to snap or hold or kick when you don't have one.
So a 43-yard attempt becomes a 53-yard attempt now for Cundiff. And Cundiff's kick is wide to the left. Had the look of a kick that would have been good for 43. So that was a bad play call on third down. 4 seconds remaining. Michael Strahan again will take a look at his week leading up to the Monday night game, and then we'll take a look at next week's game in Denver. It's always so much fun to do a Raider-Bronco game. They never disappoint you.
Oh yeah, and you remember last year. I mean, we go in there and the Raiders had lost 4 in a row, and Rich Gannon was darn near perfect. What did he have, like 20 for 21 or something like that? 22 for 23?
I think it was 21 in a row, I believe.
I mean, some big-time obnoxious numbers.
Obnoxious, you were a Bronco fan. The kneel down by Collins. We're in New Jersey, but it's the Bronx cheer for the Giants as they head off the field. At one point they led 7-0, but they trail here 20-7. And coming up next is the Lexus halftime show. After this message from the NFL and a word from our ABC stations.
Interviewing is about confidence. Speaking well.